I'll quickly introduce the forum and also the agenda. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining this meeting. BBMP South Zone, led by Tulsi ma'am and BF representatives, leadership, and South Zone Apartment joining this call. Maybe go to next slide, Ajay. So from BBMP side, we have Tulsi ma'am. Ma'am, I have mentioned your team's name. Not sure they are there.
Actually, no. Actually, what happened? Doraiswamy avaru ತೀರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. He is a freedom fighter and one of the most respected gentlemen of the state. So to pay our last respect, since he resides in our zone, my JC has gone there. He just went. So
No
it
problem.
seems they will be cremating him today.
Sure.
So he has gone there. And the health officer is in another VC with the commissioner sir regarding the vaccination. So that is like he is in that meeting. Anyway, I will answer all questions
Yes.
to the best of my ability. Anything which I'm not there, hopefully once they are free, I don't expect the JC to join. He'll be there throughout, but the health officer definitely will be there.
So thank you very much, ma'am, for updates. In fact, indeed, your team is very responsive, approachable. Thank you very much, and a big thank you from all of us for such a massive efforts you guys are running on ground. Next, maybe I will introduce team from BF leadership quickly. So, ma'am, we have on this call BF President Mr. Nagaraju Rao. We have BF Secretary Vikram. We have zonal leaders and governing council members, including myself, Zameen, Umesh. Vikram has also joined. And as I have mentioned, we have 4 clusters representing, covering BBMP South Zone. BTM, we have Latashri as President, Banshankari Anand, Jayanagar Sundar, and West Shankar Ram. And also to mention, ma'am, we are 950 apartment organization in Bangalore. In South, we represent close to 70 apartments. And last year, CQS, our contribution was more than 100 only in South Zone. And we have been coordinating, collaborating with BBMP and authorities and government of Karnataka on various initiatives, especially COVID, as you would have noticed, right from our bulletins, right from connects, right from help in vaccination, testing camps, all sort of help we are extending, helping authorities and government. So this is a quickly I'll mention about agenda. We would request after this, I would request our President sir to give a welcome note, and then maybe for another 30 minutes you can address. And we have, as I mentioned, we have sort of pre-qualified questions which we have gathered from members. We would put it across, and then towards the end we can open up for a couple of questions from people who have joined this call. Hope this is okay, ma'am.
Yes, it's fine. We can follow this. But I'm
Sure.
not sure if I'll speak for half an hour.
No problem.
Okay.
No
But
issues.
I will see what all I can answer.
Sure, ma'am. So I would request our President Nagaraj Rao sir to sort of welcome and some notes, starting notes, sir.
Yes, Dheeraj. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Tulsi, Madam.
Good evening.
I'm Nagaraj Rao, and I'm joined by Secretary as well as the entire paraphernalia.
Yes, sir. I
So-
remember you. We had interesting conversations last time.
We have been getting a lot of cooperation from you, and then Dheeraj is extremely happy that we are happy with the South Zone at the BBMP staff. Anyway, I just want to welcome you and entire BBMP team, and also our team. At the same time, mention 1 or 2 points only. One is about the testing in the apartments. I think it is a request from the BIF to all the apartments to cooperate with the BBMP to coordinate the testing. because the testing will give you a guarantee that your apartment is safe, or if necessary, some action to be taken. The second, madam, will be the vaccination camps to be organized in the apartments, about which you can kindly say a few words. The third one is about the new triage centers. You can explain a little more in detail so that the people are very clear about what is to be done. And if you can touch upon the latest devil of black fungus, we'll be thankful. I think I leave it open to you to make to address all of us and take up the questions. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Iga, before we start, can the host let me share my screen? There is a picture which I would like to share.
Yes, madam, you can share your screen.
Okay, just
Click on the share screen at the bottom and
yeah. Fine. Can you see my screen?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the default will be BBMP budget, which appears to be a lifetime ago for me now. Okay, so I am showing you the trend of the positive cases in South Zone for the last 15 days. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, madam, you can.
Yeah. So at a certain point, somewhere in the end of April and all that last week of April, we were at somewhere around 3,500 cases, almost where the fear was we would touch 4,000 cases and all that. And we were contributing to about 17% of Bangalore's caseload. 17% of the positive cases reported were from South Zone. So after that, we have little bit changed our strategy, so that initially the doctors were not visiting the people's homes. We told the doctors will visit all the positive patients' home, whatever they are, they will have to visit, was one of our strong orders, and I take compliance on that every day. At least 90% of the positive patients, we are able to visit their homes. There are COVID doctors who are visiting them, giving them medicines. That was one of the first things we did. And second thing, we ensured that all the PCs, like majority of our population, if it is in the upper income, middle income, or higher middle income groups, upper middle class groups, the moment they know somebody tested positive in the family, they would voluntarily go and get themselves tested, either in our PHC or in our or in private facilities. And our people were kind of relaxing, telling that they would get it done. But then we made it compulsory that if the PC, the primary contact, is saying that they have got themselves tested, you have to collect the SRF ID. Because this time the virus is different. In the last wave, if there was one person in the house who was positive, then he was the only person positive. And the reason for this could be because last year people were more afraid of the virus, and the COVID isolation norms were maybe followed more strictly than what we are following now. And this time even the virus is kind of more infectious. So because of these reasons, if there is a positive case in one family, we are finding more positive cases in that family. So all the PCs, we made it sure that either they get tested from us, or if they have got tested from a private facility, they should give us our SRF ID so that we know that they have got tested, and we can probably follow up on them. Because once we get an SRF ID and the case turns positive, we would be referred to, that case would come to us and we would follow it up. So and we started giving the stamping, door-to-door visit was done more vigorously, stamping was done. Like we found out that all the primary contacts and the positive patients were moving outside. And now we also find that even that has not been very effective. So now we are kind of putting a caution tape. We are not exactly sealing down the properties, but some kind of social check is needed. So we are just putting a caution tape on those gates or on those houses with the notice.
Please try again.
With a notice, so that the people in the house do not move around. So because of all this, or maybe just because we have been lucky, the number of cases in South Zone have come down. And all of you maybe have read this unfortunate news in the newspaper, like again, that is our constituency, Nagaratpete, where some people manhandled. We condemn that behavior of our staff. We do not encourage anybody to do it. But at the same time, we are at a phase where we have to break the chain. With 400 cases, if we are able to test all our people, this time when we analyze the caseload, majority of the cases we got are from apartments and from higher income groups. In the slum population, the number of cases is very less. Even there, we are doing the testing, but the positivity we are getting there is very low as compared to these other groups. So we need to do massive testing. June 7th is the date till which we have lockdown. So by June 7th, if we are able to test most of our population who are staying in apartments and in other areas where we are finding more positivity. Like for me, I get the maximum number of cases in BTM layout area. BTM Kormangla area, we are not able to understand what is the reason. There are not many slums there in the typical definition of slums. It is all high income group, and that is where we are getting the maximum thing. And when we are sending testing teams to these areas, the common thing which people are saying is, we are not having any symptoms. So why are you coming us to test? Why should we get tested? If we have any symptoms, we will reach out to you. That is what people are saying. But kindly please understand, there are asymptomatic cases, and the earlier we are able to catch the virus, the faster we are able to isolate the positive patient, the easier it will be for us to break this chain. And one thing I want to clarify, none of us are being paid for conducting these tests. Only we have contract staff who are paid a lump sum amount. Their salary is not varying depending upon the number of tests they have done. We are no longer following that model in certain areas. Even last year, it was not there in South Zone. It was followed in some other zones. And now everyone has done away with it. Please be clear that by testing any one of the citizen, none of the team is going to make even 1 rupee extra. They have their fixed lump sum salary. We would have told them, okay, you need to do, we are seeing the positivity rate and we are telling, okay, this is the number of tests which each PHC, the target is given actually PHC wise. So that's the reason why these people are coming out and testing. And we would request you kindly cooperate with us. This is the time when there are 3,000, 4,000 cases. It is really difficult. We have to test those cases. We have to test the PCs of those cases, the secondary contacts and all that. This is the time when the virus is on the lower edge. We need to focus our energies on testing and isolation of the positive patients so that when the economy opens on June 8th, hopefully, we would be at a relatively lower risk of infection spreading among ourselves. That is the strategy which we are following, at least in the South Zone. So I request all of you to kindly support us in conducting the testing. People may be asymptomatic, they may not have any problems, but we don't know. This time there are asymptomatic cases. Within 3-4 days, cases are going to a stage where they would need an ICU. You would have all read the cases about all this happy hypoxia and all that. So we are not able to predict who is how. So testing is the only thing which we have available with us. And for South Zone, I am coming to triage centers now. Triage centers, we have opened 2 triage centers for each assembly constituency. The purpose of a triage center being that we need to understand what is the patient's requirement. So somehow people have understood that if they tell below 70, 80 oxygen levels, we would look out for for an ICU bed for them. Our scale is like this: 90 to 85. If the oxygen levels below 95, we suggest hospitalization. Below 94. From 94, the countdown starts. 94 to 85, a general bed with maybe an oxygenator support would run. 85 to 80, high density oxygen would be sufficient. If it is below 80, the patient will need an ICU and probably a ventilator, God forbid. So people somehow understood this equation, because we are also not interested in hiding this. This is not a state secret and all that. People know. So outrightly, they would tell that we are having 80 saturation. On the phone, we are doing triage, and unfortunately, the number of beds which we can provide is kind of limited, especially ICU and ventilator. We don't want any patient who is not requiring an ICU to be booked for an ICU. And then when the patient goes to the hospital people also check the oxygen and they call back to us and अच्छी बातों में गालियां देते हैं. Look, how dare you send a patient with 90 saturation for ICU bed? What are you guys thinking? And all that, they will tell us everything that comes to their mind. They are also overworked. We take it with a pinch of salt. We leave some things. So this physical triage center will help us to understand accurately what is the patient's need. That is point number 1. Point number 2, we need to stabilize the patient till he gets an ICU bed. If a patient needs an ICU bed or an oxygenated high density oxygen unit, and those beds are not readily available, in each of these triage centers, we have oxygen, high flow oxygen is available. Like we have high flow oxygen presently available at Wilson Garden, Pobbati, and Hosekere. High flow oxygen is available. We have oxygen concentrators. Even at Kumarswamy Layout Shuttle Court also, we have high flow oxygen. The pipeline work has been done. So, and we have oxygen concentrators. We have 10 liters oxygen concentrators majorly. And then we have 5 liters at some places, but there also we have at least 3, 4, 10 liters on a standby. Everything is available. So if a patient comes to us and he is in a bad shape, these triage centers will work to stabilize the patient. We will give him oxygen support immediately so that his condition doesn't deteriorate. We are able to stabilize the patient, and in parallel, the war room will be working to find a bed for that patient. That is the purpose of the triage centers. And in South Zone, we have taken one step further for the purposes of the triage center. We are planning to start blood testing of the patients who are coming to the triage centers. The purpose of the blood test is this: like if any of you has gone through the private COVID treatment protocol, they do a blood test every 2nd or 3rd day. Vikram, are you updated on this? Have you seen this protocol anywhere?
No, I mean, it's good to hear, ma'am.
Okay, so they would get a blood test done every 2nd or 3rd day for the patient to understand the inflammatory markers. The virus causes inflammation. When the body is fighting the virus, when our own white blood cells are fighting the virus, there is a natural inflammation which is caused, which results in inflammatory markers in the bloodstream. The identification and assessment of which, what is the level these inflammatory markers are, gives us an understanding of how severe the virus load or the person is reacting. And we will be able to start medicines in case, like you have to start certain steroids, you can't avoid it for some patients. We will be able to identify such risk patients earlier. And our goal is to avoid people going to the ICU stage. That is our goal. So for this, from South Zone, we are very thankful to our Honorable Minister, Mr. Ashok. We discussed this idea with him. He was very supportive. He spoke to us, arranged for the necessary funds, and we are doing it in the government setup only. We are not gone through any private lab. We have our own lab at Siddhaya Road Referral Hospital. We kind of upgraded it. We spent around some 10 lakhs over there to do that small repairs and all that, and stabilize, to buy the software. Like when we are dealing with such samples, you have to be extra careful. So there was a barcoding machine and a software required to enter the tests and all that. We procured all that. We are ready. So probably tomorrow or day after, we will be ready to do the blood test at the Triage Center. And we are basically focusing on 3 tests: CBC, CRP, C-reactive protein, which is the spike protein which indicates the virus. And there is LDH is another test. That is 1 round of test. If the first report gives us something suspicious, we will call the patient for a second report where we do a D-dimer and a ferritin level. So these are the 5 tests we are starting. This is not being done in any other zone. In South Zone, we are starting this. And if this strategy succeeds, the goal being that we should not allow patients to go to ICU stage. Once the inflammatory markers are clear to us on the 4th or 5th day, we should be ready to start the steroids. Our doctors have been trained in this protocol. The lab technicians who will draw the blood samples have been trained today. So in a couple of days, this will also get operational. So this is the purpose of Triage Center, where any positive patient, he should walk in there. We should check what is his oxygen level. In case he needs any oxygen support, we will provide him that support, stabilize him till he get a hospital bed, and shift him to the hospital as is necessary. And the second thing, what the Triage centers are doing is, like we have 2 Triage centers, Koramangala Indoor Stadium, where these are also COVID care centers. Certain people who do not have the facility of isolating at home, they may be using a single bathroom in the home, or for various other reasons. Probably they would have somebody who is more vulnerable and they don't want to be at the home. For such people, we would be shifting them to COVID care centers. So the COVID care centers, at least at 2 people at 2 places, Bosch company and Koramangala Indoor Stadium, they also work as COVID care centers. They are Triage centers come COVID care centers. And we have enough bed capacity there to accommodate around 320 people, and we have not reached our maximum capacity till date. But one thing I'm very happy to say is, one of the first Triage centers we started was Wilson Garden PHC. Even before BBMP or anybody, Commissioner Sir took this idea from us. Wilson Garden, we took the risk, we took the initiative and told, because the doctors were really afraid. One patient, you can't save all the people. We were clear about that. Out of 10, we may lose 1 odd patient. But the doctors needed the confidence that for the 1 odd patient where they were not successful, they would not be blamed for that. We told them, we are with you, let us do it. They started, and touch wood, we have stabilized almost 100 patients and sent them, and we were lucky enough to get beds for them. I recall one patient came in midnight 3 o'clock, we were able to find an isolator bed for the patient and we shifted. We have lost 3-4 patients, but we have been able to help at least 100 patients. So this is the concept of a Triage center, and it's working relatively well. The only problem being that we don't have so many walk-ins as we had expected. Each of these Triage center has doctors. We unfortunately have not been able to get nursing staff as many as we wanted, because all the nursing college students and all of them have gone back to Kerala, we were told. But we have got the doctors, we have got the medical interns, final year MBBS students who are helping the doctors. So the system is running. We just want people to come there and take this facility. And this, in addition with the testing, my goal is by June 1st week, South Zone should reach 100 cases, where we were sometime in end of February. In the last week or 2nd or 3rd week of February, we were at 100 cases. So that is the goal which we are having and we are working towards. But the key to achieving this would be testing. Voluntary testing of all people, symptomatic, asymptomatic, irrelevant. Just get ourselves tested. We don't know what we are carrying with us. That's it from my side. And then this question of black fungus. There are a lot of theories floating around. What is the cause? There is one story telling that the oxygen which we are giving, those which you are putting, they are not sterilized properly. Oxygen concentrators, the waters which we are using, it has to be demineralized water. Some people are using tap water and all that. In fact, there was one WhatsApp doing around that don't eat bread because bread has yeast, and that's also one type of fungus. Okay. So, and yesterday there was another theory saying that zinc as a resistance to the, we are giving zinc and vitamin C. All of us since last year, even I remember September, October, when my husband got infected, the doctor prescribed all of us zinc tablets. For the kids, zinc tonic. For us, they told zinc because it is fighting the virus, they told. Now, yesterday, somebody else came and told, no, zinc is the reason. And there was another round WhatsApp doing rounds yesterday, fake news telling that 2 साल में जिसने vaccine लिया वो सब चला जाएगा. So this is an evolving science. We don't know exactly what is the reason. It's like you need to keep ruling out things. Haryana minister put a tweet yesterday telling that out of around 400 black fungus cases, which are, I may be wrong around the number, so kindly give me some discount on that. He was telling there were certain cases which were not at all COVID positive, but they were victims of black fungus. Where it is coming, why it is coming, it will require a lot of science to study it. But the goal is that we can be, you cannot be too careful. You need to rule out things. If you are using an oxygen concentrator, kindly make sure that you sterilize the nasal prongs regularly. There is a protocol. It has to be sterilized every 6 hours or 12 hours is what my doctor's team was telling me. The water that you use it, it's not even our filter water, our RO water, which we drink at home. It has to be demineralized water because even the RO plant, after it removes 100% and then it leaves a small percent, because if it is totally demineralized water, within 1 month, your bones, your body joints, all that will get crumpled. There is a certain amount of mineral component in the water because we call it mineral water. Bisleri is called mineral water. There's a certain quantum of mineral which is left in the water because our body needs it. But the same mineral, when it gets into your respiratory system, it can cause certain problems. So if anybody is using an oxygen concentrator, please tell them it is demineralized water, not purified water, not water from our Bisleri bottles. There is demineralized water which is available in all medical shops. They would be able to get it there and use as much as possible. This definitely, this I can tell it, it's a technically proven fact that you can't use this water, regular water, into the oxygen concentrators. And the sanitization protocol of your oxygen concentrators becomes important. This is from my side what I have been reading, and whatever data, scientific, whatever I have read, that is my knowledge to this date. Anything which comes up, we definitely would like to share with you. So anything else, I'm ready to respond.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. It was wonderful hearing you. Very informative, especially things around trial center, blood testing. And really this shows our resolve and testing, the emphasis of testing. And as you are aware, we are also running a campaign across BEF apartments to enable, facilitate, and coordinate with BBMP and authorities to conduct testing camps. So through our platform, we would also urge apartments to coordinate, cooperate, and opt for these testings. Thank you, ma'am. And I have a few questions which we have gathered from our member apartments. So you would see, I have categorized them. So maybe we can start with testing, ma'am. I kept it down. So I think as you have already mentioned about,
yes,
BBMP
the question is, can the results of bulk testing be shared with apartment committees? Yes, we would like to share with it, maybe not the individual person's details, but we can share with you whatever from each apartment. Please give us one nodal officer who's coordinating the testing. To the same person, we will give the results also, so that we know what are the positivity rate there and how it can be kind of brought under control.
Sure, ma'am. So I think first point you have already clarified, like BBMP is anyways driving on conducting testing camps, and I think that's pretty clear. On vaccination, ma'am, there are a lot of questions around, a lot of
Yes.
confusions around. So I have mentioned quite a few questions. If you
So
can,
let me respond on the first dose. Like, yes, in the months of April and March, we had a campaign in the apartments where our teams came, and in fact, certain private hospitals also have coordinated with the apartment groups to vaccinate. But unfortunately, now there is a change in the position where we are told the government vaccine can be given only in government facilities. We are not doing it in PHCs in order to avoid cross infection. So wherever there is testing and vaccination going on, we have shifted them out. In the PHC, either they will be testing. If the testing is happening in PHC, the vaccination will be happening in a nearby school or in any other ground or wherever area where people can maintain social distance. For the second dose, we will not be able to come to apartments, but at the PHC level, you can talk to the PHC doctor and we can coordinate. Suppose from this apartment, if 20, 30 of you plan to come on one particular day, kindly tell us. We will provide for you. We can give you certain tokens or something. We will work out some mechanism so that you can get your second dose. But the problem is we cannot come to the apartments. You will have to come to the public facility, and we are trying to make it as safe as possible.
and ma'am, PHC doctors or MOs can be approached for this, right? To facilitate
Yes.
this.
Yes, they will facilitate. They have been instructed to do this. Tomorrow morning in our meeting, once again, I'll reiterate this point, whereby they cannot come to the apartments, but your people can go, coordinate, tell them beforehand that so many of us will be coming. You can go there and get yourself vaccinated. That we can arrange.
Sure, ma'am. And also a recent, maybe the next question, maybe a recent order, including vaccinations for supporting staff, housekeeping, security, and local PSCs should be considered those for, for vaccinations, considering they have authorization letter from apartment association. So what's your take on it? It's a bit consistent. A lot of places there are challenges where it is not happening, despite these people are carrying authorization letters.
Okay, so there is, government has given us, there are two lists of vaccinations which are going 45 plus age group. That is the central government vaccination which is being provided. And for the people in the age group, so if any of the housekeeping or other support staff are above 45, they can walk to the PHC of their area and they can get vaccinated. That is one thing. If they are between the 18 to 44 age group, the government has issued two lists, Annexure 1 and Annexure 2, which is kind of prioritizing the people who are doing such work. And housekeeping and security service is one of the lists mentioned there. But since these people are not in any formal kind of thing, so maybe if it's a housing agency, something like Backhawk or somebody, they may have a list of people who are working with them for security services. Housekeeping and all that, there is no such authorized agency. It is the individual maids and all that. So that is going to take some time. The vaccination of the 18 to 44 group is going to take some time. Notwithstanding that, tomorrow the CM is flagging off a vaccination program in our zone for people who are in the slum dwellers and low income groups. This is being done by a private agency. They have managed to get some vaccine and they are organizing this vaccination. So if you have, like, this is going to start in Chikpete Assembly constituency, any of your people, we can coordinate with the local people who are doing there. If I can get a list from of all the 70 people, because obviously if they are working as housekeeping and support staff, other thing, if you can give us a list with their name, phone number and all that, we will hand it over to the people who are doing, and they can coordinate and do the vaccination. This is what we can do. But from the government side, we can do for the 45 plus and for people between 18 to 44 age who are in the priority list given by the government, with adequate certification and all that, because once it is a government vaccination, there's so many records which we need to maintain and submit. So that is our position on this. So my request is, if they are above 45 years, tell your staff to reach out to their nearby PHC. Every PHC is doing at least 100 doses of vaccination. First dose at least they are doing. So kindly let them go there. If they are between the 18 to 44 group, please give us a list with the name and the phone number. We want this list to come from the apartments association. So once that is given, we will coordinate with these private NGOs, CSR groups who are doing this work. And we will see that at least some of them are vaccinated depending upon the availability of the vaccine. Does this answer your question, Dheeraj ji?
Sure, ma'am. But again, there was a form circulated, and if apartment association authorize someone as their housekeeping staff, they would go visit PHC, and is that still hold good, ma'am?
Yeah, that also still is holding good.
Sure, ma'am.
I have not seen that form, but I know some form was circulated. If that is there, that again depends upon the vaccine availability, because this has come in the second priority list, not in the first priority. In the first priority, we have the petrol bunk people, we have bank people, we have people who are doing all this street light maintenance and all that. So those people we have taken. There are two lists. That is in the priority list 1. The housekeeping has come in priority list 2, if I'm right.
Sure, ma'am.
Can I just add to that, Dheeraj? Tulsi ma'am, if I can.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Opportunity to discuss with Chief Commissioner sir as well. You're absolutely bang on, right? I think the second notification which came, which had one category as frontline workers and one more as priority groups. I think security and housekeeping workers have been categorized under frontline workers sub point 10, which is they've called that out, but it says security and housekeeping workers in offices. Maybe in their definition, it was formal employment under that. So I have also requested with the Commissioner sir to see if that can be considered as a definition to cover both security and housekeeping staff under an employment under an RWA. He has also assured that there will be a clarification which will come under that, because at the end of the day, they are also high contact or at-risk communities. So we would definitely be very, very interested to cover them as soon as possible. But yes,
Vikram, the thing is that if you can give this list, I can work through the NGO. Let us try parallel streams. It will not happen at one. So jaha milta hai, udhar karte jana hai hame.
I'm in agreement with you. We will get our members to prepare the list and submit to you. Let's see from all angles, whichever coverage happens, nothing like it, better. Yes. I mean, whatever approach works, basically.
Yeah, 20 people there, 10 people there, 100 people here, wherever possible, let us do it.
Sure. We'll ask our associations to prepare a cover and give a authorization with the list and submit it to the local teams.
We want the name, the phone number, and the address, maybe where the person is living.
Sure, ma'am. We'll get that.
And what work they are doing. What work? Just four columns.
We'll get that organized.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Yes. Can we go ahead, Dheeraj?
Yes, ma'am. So a quick question on residents who have taken vaccinations are still required to undergo RT-PCR test?
Okay, now that's a difficult question. There are reports which tell that after you take your vaccination, there is a certain quantum of virus which is introduced, a dead virus or whatever, spike protein, whatever, which is introduced in your body, and your body is fighting it. So there are two opinions on this. At least till 15 days, you should not undergo an RT-PCR is one line of thought. The other line of thought is that, okay, kar sakte hai, kya hai? But I would like to be a little bit conservative on this. If somebody has taken a vaccination within last 15-20 days, we can exempt them from RT-PCR. This is my understanding of the situation. If we want a pakka scientific opinion, we will have to ask a doctor. I will come back to on it. But my advice would be, let us wait for 20 days because your body is actually fighting with the virus there. It's creating the antibodies. So the virus has been injected. So because of the vaccination, you may get a positive, and which will get into a different spin.
Yep, yep, yep.
Let us see. But if somebody is having any symptoms after taking the vaccination and all that, if they are having some symptoms, because the Pakistan Prime Minister, he had taken the vaccination and within 2 days he had become positive. That was because like when he took the vaccination, he was most probably in the incubation period.
Yeah.
So for everything we are telling, there is a contra example which is coming up. That's the difficulty of this. So we will take on a case by case basis. Let us wait for 15 days before people take an RT-PCR. And if anything comes positive, within the taking the sample itself, they are asking, have you taken vaccination? If somebody has taken a vaccination, they are recording there. At least whenever I went for a test, I get myself tested every 10, 15 days because we are roaming all around and going to hospitals and all that. So they have asked me every time whether you have got vaccinated. So that is captured. We can take this up, but 15 days we can tell people, if you have taken vaccine, please don't get tested.
Sure, ma'am. That's useful input, ma'am. A CT scan normal charges 1,500 for BPLs and 2,500 BPLs. Hospitals are now charging 6,000. Is there any other any rate fixed for these cases? For BBMP or government side?
No, the order which is fixing this rate is what you have put here. If anybody is charging more, if a formal complaint is lodged, we can take it up with the hospital. Okay, and this 6,000 is less. I myself paid 7,000 rupees.
Oh. This is a question from one of the residents, so we thought we'll keep it as it is.
Yeah, they are charging very high. They have their excuses. They tell we need to sanitize, we need to pay our staff more. There is a risk allowance which we are paying and all that stuff, but nothing can justify 7,000 rupees, I personally feel. But if somebody gives a complaint, we will definitely take it up with the hospital. I got my test done before this order came. So anybody coming forward to lodge a complaint, we will take it up.
Sure, ma'am. Maybe trial center, there are few queries on trial centers.
Yes.
Ajay, could you please go the next? Ma'am, you mentioned briefly, about their purposes and utilization, blood test, and they're being, used as a stabilization centers.
Okay.
How that is going along with 1912-108 sort of facility? What should be the first touch point? Will be trial center where a patient with symptoms should reach out first, or it's through the traditional way?
Yeah, there are two things which are possible. It depends upon the patient's condition. If the patient is experiencing respiratory distress, his first point of contact will be the triage center because he will need oxygen support to stabilize him immediately. Okay.
Yeah.
If the patient is experiencing some normal fever or throat pain or any such things, which in such cases, we would advise the patient to go to the nearest PHC and get himself tested. The test results are now coming within 24 hours. So once the test report comes, like once your case is confirmed as positive, kindly go to the triage center where we will be able to assess you and take your blood sample and decide on the further course of action. I come back once again, I repeat, if the patient is experiencing respiratory distress, the first point of contact will be the triage center. We have kept some RAT kits there, rapid antigen test kits, which will, there is a 60, 70 there, whatever they generally detect. If the case comes positive, immediately, since the patient is having respiratory distress, we will first stabilize the patient and then we will do what is necessary. That is it. And
Sure.
how it is working, all these triage centers are in communication. We have kept a dedicated mobile phone number there. We have kept internet connection and all that. And now we are working on how beds can be booked directly from the triad center, a certain portion of beds, like maybe 2-3 hospitals we will identify that they will work with these triad centers. Those hospitals will be exclusively for patients coming from triad centers, or we will keep a certain 10-15% of beds for patients coming through triad centers. That is being discussed. It will be finalized in a couple of days. So we are having facility to block beds for patients who require them through the triad center. So
That's
they will
fabulous.
communicate. Yeah,
Yeah.
they will communicate. They will arrange the ambulance and everything. That is how that workflow is going to happen. And coming to the number of triad centers, South Zone has the highest number of triad centers. If you have seen BBMP's advertisement, we are the only zone which is having 2 per assembly constituency functional. And our capacity, we are pretty comfortable. We have not reached our maximum capacity. If we find that we are facing a shortage, we definitely will increase our capacity. But as of now, I don't see the requirement for that. Once we feel we need more beds, we are in a position to create and come up with the facility with a couple of days. So once my centers reach around 80-85% capacity, I will start working on opening more centers. We will not wait for them to come to 100%. 85% capacity, we will start working on more centers. That is the way we plan to do this. And the last question, spread via aerosol droplets. This is a clear position of science as of now, that the virus is not settling on ground. It is just floating in the air. And that is the reason why we have advised people to put at least a single layer mask even in their homes. If you remember, this was a clear scientific guidance given telling that even in the home, you should put a mask because the virus is floating in the air. And there's only so much which you can control how the air circulates and all that. But I have seen some ionization machines at some places which claim to clear out the air. Apartments, I understand. This is the reason why we are finding more cases in apartments probably. Even if there is no physical contact because of the air or whatever, because of common areas, there is more spread in apartments. Apartments provide a wonderful quality of living, but this virus has given us a challenge to that style of living. So we need to find strategies to overcome that. So this ionizing machines are one strategy to kill it, the virus which is floating in the air. And that's the reason why we are not doing the sanitary spray as compared to last year. Because last year, if you remember, if there was a positive case, people would come and drench that house in sodium hypochlorite liquid.
Yeah.
But this time we are not doing it because the science position is clear now. They are telling it's not settling in the air. It's just floating around.
Floating around.
So COVID appropriate behavior is our vaccine plus protection for this virus. Stand far from people. Now they are telling 10 feet, whatever they are, that 6 feet is what is a standard thing which they have been telling. Mask, double layer mask if you're going out, single layer if you're in your home. And avoid all kinds of gatherings. जान है तो पार्टी अगले साल भी कर लेंगे.
Sure,
So
ma'am.
that's what I would like to say, because we are still getting reports of having small get-togethers, children playing together, and all this in apartments, and which is exactly not safe for what the condition which we are in. We will have
Sure.
to hold our horses for some time. Otherwise, it will become really difficult.
Sure, ma'am. Thanks, Brad. Just a couple of more questions, ma'am. Quickly, we can. I understand we are sort of just 2 minutes, but again, if you could extend a couple of more minutes, we would cover those
Yeah,
questions
fine.
as well.
Yeah, fine. Yes.
So quite a few requests and quite a few queries on BBMP helping and extending support to apartments in disinfecting common areas. Sometimes and garbage management. There are certain inconsistencies. The vendor not taking COVID-related garbage and all. and also on the front of guideline violation, as you mentioned, right? There are small get-togethers. There are people roaming freely without wearing masks. So could you please share your views on these as well,
Yes.
ma'am?
Okay, disinfecting common areas would be the responsibility of the concerned apartment. As I told, this time we are not doing sanitizing on such a scale. If the apartment feels that there is a certain common area which needs this hypochlorite spray, you can contact their agencies who are providing this service. You can talk to them and get this done. COVID related garbage management, last time it was pretty elaborate, and I don't think we succeeded in a very grand manner there. As of now, it may be totally wrong. I know we are being recorded, but some of the garbage from the houses where they are positive patients is getting mixed with regular garbage. Okay, so we will have to look at that, how we can do. That would be one thing. If you are in a position like all these apartments, they have a place where the garbage is collected. So if the apartment managements come forward to segregate this garbage and keep it at a separate place, we can get the biomedical waste people to collect that waste apart from the regular waste collection which is happening. And coming to guideline violation, I think that is something. I think how do we do that? I have seen, in fact, the police people were telling me when they stop people at the junction, at the check post, they tell I'm COVID positive. If the patient is COVID positive, he is not supposed to be out. But there are violations. How do we do this? Like off late, we have started putting this caution tape in front of the houses. That is not something which I'm very happy about doing, but the primary contacts and the positive patients were moving around, and we needed something to check. The social watch was needed. The neighbors sometimes do not even know that the people are COVID positive, and taking advantage of that, these COVID positive patients and their primary contacts were moving around. We have non-governmental organizations which are ready to help these people to get their necessities. The last meeting, the apartment association which we had, all of you also promised to help such people when they are in isolation. I don't know where we are lacking, but these people are moving around. How do we do this? I'm open to suggestions from you about this. And the last question regarding setting up of micro CCCs in apartment complexes. After our last meeting, I had issued a set of guidelines where we relaxed some things as we felt it was necessary. But in case somebody is interested in setting up a micro CCC, we cannot provide nursing staff and all that because we have our own facilities which we are running. If anybody needs isolation, they can come to BBMP. It is not the typical Sarkari stuff. We are relatively providing okay facilities. But if somebody is expecting a Taj Vivanta kind of standard, we cannot provide that. But if any association is willing to put up a micro CCC, my advice would be, like all of you have clubhouses, we took account of all the facilities available where there were 2-3 rooms and all that. In such cases, you can consider them as isolation rooms which can be provided to the apartment residents as necessary. Some places there were vacant apartments which they told we could use for micro CCC. And at some places, the clubhouses and common facilities were big enough to put around 50 to 20 patients. So there you can put micro CCC. The approval process for this is just give a letter telling us that this is your area where you want to set, this is the capacity. And give the letter to the Joint Commissioner. We will consult with the health officer, just have a check and see if we think it is something which can be supported, because you will need to have toilets, there has to be an entry exit, and there has to be an area where food and everything is available. We are ready to support with you in setting up of this micro CCCs. In fact, seeing the surge sometime in end of March and first week of April, we drew up a list. The revenue officer was dealing with that. We listed around 15, I think around 7 to 8 apartments where the micro CCC would have started. But touchwood, our capacity was sufficient to meet that surge of peak at around 24,000 cases. Okay, so regarding reporting of violations, how do we do that? I'm looking for suggestions from your end. We can work on that.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you very much. It is really comprehensive and overarching A to Z of what needs to be done, what you guys are up to, and it really gives us a confidence. So, ma'am, though we are already 4 minutes over the scheduled time, but if you allow, can we take a couple of questions from people who have joined
Yes,
in?
yes, it is time well spent for me. Another 5 minutes I can spare.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. So maybe whoever wants to go, they can raise their hands and maybe in sequence we can go. Yes, Umesh sir, go ahead, please. Umesh sir.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, thank you, madam. Thank you, Dheeraj. See, we had requested for providing some facility for senior citizens, that too particularly who are more than 75 or 80 years. It is very risky to take them to PHC center for the second dose. If you allow us some tokens or some kind of support from BBMP so that we can issue tokens to the eligible persons, or we can make arrangements in our apartment as a one-time measure, it will help a lot.
Okay, Umesh, our position, as I have told, is we are not coming to apartments to do the vaccination, but I understand this age group of above 70 plus. Kindly give us, that is what I was telling, you can always coordinate with your local PHC. They will organize it, either these people, we will bring them at first or we will bring them at last. We will work out some mechanism for them, but we will not be able to come to apartments to do the vaccination. We will do it in the safest way possible. Like, in fact, they can sit in their vehicles also. If they come to the ground, they can sit in their vehicles. My team will come and vaccinate them. They can wait for 30 minutes in the vehicle and go. To that extent, we are able to help you, but we will not be able to come to apartments.
Thank you very much, madam. We'll make a list and submit. Thank you.
Yeah, we will work on this. Because it is not a straight jacketed one size fits all which is going to work here. Depending upon the requirement, wherever we have flexibility, we will work to help the citizens.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you.
So we have Rahul next. Rahul, go on, please. Rahul.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. Apologies. Hi, ma'am. Sorry, quick question on the house help. There was an order that was there a couple of weeks back around testing the house help every 15 days. There was multiple contradicting media reports around it was withdrawn. Could you clarify what the current stance is?
Okay, so I have seen these orders which still say that every 15 days, the domestic workers will have to get tested, which I think if I was a domestic worker, I would not have liked that order. I'm being honest. But in the interest of public health, there are associations which raised an issue with this, telling that it is discriminatory. You are targeting the poor. Why not the people in whose homes they are working and all that? But since these people are working at several places, I think it is safe to get them tested, and the incubation period of the virus is 15 days. I understand the concerns raised by various organizations, but in a public health crisis, I think each one of us will have to do, and even the owners, I stand with the associations which are telling, why not the people they are working, even they should get tested if necessary. Okay, that's the reason why we are stressing on testing. The more people we are able to test and identify as early as possible, the more we'll be able to control this virus. Okay, so there are different dimensions to this problem. There is a human rights angle, There is a practicality angle, there is an angle of public health, and we have to balance all this.
Ma'am, can I just add to that point as well? I think from BAF's point of view, and brilliantly put, because we need to look at multiple dimensions. Our advice has been, please, as much as possible, give them off as well, because at the end of the day, they are people who also have a right to safety.
Yes, safety.
And they are in a multi-contact kind of a setting. And like you rightly said, a lot of the incidents has been passing on from, say, probably the places where they are working to them, right? So our advice has been to give them off, right, in as many number of cases as possible. Only in extreme conditions, senior citizens, people with extreme needs, please do consider. I mean, even I think the Chief Commissioner sir said that
Yes.
let there be empathy, but objectivity as well. So
Yes.
make some reasonable adjustments where probably they are able to be accommodated, right? But at the same time, take all precautions. So I think our continued advice is that in whatever possible way, if they can also be given off till the lockdown gets done, that probably is the safest and best way for everybody.
Yes,
Dheeraj, over to
Mr. Ashish Patel.
So
The
last question will be Ashish.
Yeah, thanks. Ma'am, just feedback. It may not be possible at South Zone level, but what we are seeing is that for vaccinations at the new centers that have been started, it's not free. I mean, there are not enough people going there because a lot of the 45 plus have already, taken the doses, and the second doses are not yet due.
Yes.
So what is happening is that there are these below 45 who are sort of anxious to get it but can't go there, and it's empty. If there can be a clarification on this frontline workers and the second, both the categories of frontline workers, because that includes street vendors, it includes housekeeping, various others. We will take efforts to send them, to get all the people in our areas, to convince them and to send them there and make use of the vaccines. But currently there's no clarity on what is the definition of, what is the documentation required, whether it will happen at every center, because I heard that there'll be one center in each assembly where it will happen.
Yes.
So it's feedback that, the community will be able to send more and more people to get vaccinated there from this category. If that can be clarified and done in a decentralized manner, we will of course take up your suggestion to give you names. But that's very, if it can be decentralized, we can put a push for that. The second point is on this amphotericin liposomal.
Yeah. The new addition to our vocabulary. Remdesivir became quite common.
Yeah.
Oxygen concentrators and remdesivir is the new addition because of this wave.
Yeah. On that, the feedback from the ground is that the caregivers
not available.
The caregivers of the patients are just struggling just with the right information. And we keep trying to tell people that, indented through KPME, etc., where too it's not available. But if clear information can be given, that will save a lot of trouble to the caregivers, and because there are all kinds of forwards with the same information floating around. So that's just feedback. I know it's not at a South Zone level, but if you can.
Yes. Coming to this amifetocin medicine, whatever it is just not available. The government is trying to increase the supply. Like 15 days ago, remdesivir, there was similar clamor that it's not available and all that. Now I'm not hearing so much requirement for remdesivir. Like either it could be because of the reduced cases or it is available to the necessary people. So this also we will have to fight for another, say, a week or 10 days before sufficient stocks become available, because this was a category D or some drug which was very, very rarely used. And the production capacity is also quite limited. So it has been, they will ramp up and the supply would ease over a period of time. For the patients who are in immediate need, we don't have a ready-made answer for that. We are just working on it at the state level to provide it to the people who need it. And coming to the testing, our current strategy is that there are two separate testing vaccination locations, one for the 45 plus, because that is coming from the central government fund, and then for the 18 to 44 group, which is coming through the state government funds. At the end, as a citizen, you might feel that yes, kya nonsense hai, bullshit hai, ye sab lagta hai. But then there is certain accounting process which we have to follow to understand how much of which vaccine is consumed. We are trying to maintain these sites at two different places, because now bank employees, if we look, we are going to their places to vaccinate, so that all the bank employees, the bank's responsibility, it is there to get them there. So one by one, we are ticking off as many boxes of people in the priority category as possible. If it is cab drivers and auto drivers, then we are asking the RTO to certify. So that way there is a method which we are following, and how we can communicate this to the people, we will look for a mechanism, and that will be done at the headquarters level. So I'll bring this to the notice of the commissioner, sir. He will take a call on this. Okay, thank you. I'm getting a call from Vidhan Sauda.
No
Very
problem,
nice
ma'am.
interacting with all of you. Thank you so much. And I request you, whether in apartments or outside, please support us in testing. That's the only way to break this chain.
Thank you very much,
Thank
madam.
you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dheeraj, for a wonderful meeting.